In my journey of simplifying my life and becoming a minimalist, I've let go of a lot of things. I've decluttered hundreds or maybe even thousands of items. I stopped buying things I didn't need, and I also let go of habits that weren't adding value for me. And while all of that did really help to simplify my life, there's one more aspect that's important here, and that is that minimalism isn't about ending up with as little as possible. The goal is not to have a completely empty house or a completely empty calendar or a life where nothing ever happens. The goal is to create space. Space in your home, space in your calendar, space in your mind, space in your finances. And then once you have a little bit more space, you can then fill it intentionally with things that make you happy. So in this video, instead of talking about the things I stopped buying or the things I decluttered or the habits I quit, I want to talk about some things that I've intentionally added to my life over the recent years as a minimalist. And these are some of the things that have had the biggest impact and have improved my life the most. As always, feel free to grab something nice for yourself to drink. I just have some ice water here because it's like 6 million degrees. I'm filming this at 9 a.m. and it's already like so hot. Anyway, grab yourself something nice to drink. This video is also kindly sponsored by Skillshare, and I'll tell you more about them later. For now, let's begin with the first one. The first thing that I intentionally added to my life over the recent years is walking. Walking is amazing, and it definitely has improved my life a lot in many different ways. And I do also consider it kind of like a luxury to be able to go on longer walks regularly. I try to go at least around 4 times a week for at least about an hour, hour and a half. And this is definitely something that I wouldn't have been able to do as much if I hadn't simplified my life and simplified my schedule. Walking is amazing, but it's also quite time consuming. And so I really feel like being able to go on a longer walk regularly, to me, it feels like freedom. And it has become one of my favorite parts of the day. And I feel like walking is almost too simple of an idea for people to really understand how amazing it is and all the many benefits it has. And there's nothing wrong with other forms of exercise, of course, but for me, I think that walking definitely has the biggest impact on my health and my fitness levels than any other kind of workout, because it is so simple and because I enjoy it so much. I do it much more. And it has a very profound impact on both my physical health and my mental health. Although I do like other forms of exercise too. Walking is gentle. It allows me to go outside and get some fresh air. It doesn't require any kind of equipment or clothing. It doesn't cost any money. It doesn't leave me feeling completely exhausted. There's just so much good about going on a longer walk. And it's no surprise because the benefits of walking are well documented. It's great for your physical health, your cardiovascular health. It's also great for your mental health. We know these things. So yeah, it's no surprise that I always feel better in the weeks that I went on my walks as opposed to weeks where I didn't. Number 2 is working on financial stability. So for us, financial stability has never meant like making a lot of money or having a lot of money, but more so not needing as much money. So that is why we have worked really hard on keeping our costs relatively low. Obviously, the things on this list today do cost money, and for those, I think they are totally worth it. But because we've stopped buying things we don't need, and we bought a reasonably affordable home and things like that, we don't have a car, we try to keep our monthly costs down so that we can work on that financial stability. And for me, that just brings so much peace of mind. So I've been saving in an actual retirement fund for myself, which really just puts my mind at ease to know that I am saving for retirement. We've also been working on building up an emergency fund so that we have 6 months of living expenses in case anything happens, in case one of us loses our job, or maybe, this YouTube channel doesn't, something happens where I can't do this anymore. We have 6 months of expenses saved, so we're not immediately in trouble. It's things like this. Even if you don't end up needing it, it really helps me to know that we are not kind of like trapped in a really expensive lifestyle where if something changes, we would be in trouble. Like that feeling of knowing like we're gonna be fine no matter what happens is absolutely priceless for me. And I realize that is a privilege too, because it's not always possible, but it's something that I'm very grateful for. Whenever we do have extra money, we've also been making extra payments on our mortgage. So our goal is to try and pay it off quicker if we can. And here in the Netherlands, I don't know how that works where you live, but here, if you make an extra payment on your mortgage, you can choose to either decrease the length of your mortgage or decrease the monthly amount that you have to pay. And that is what we've been doing, so that every time we put extra money on the mortgage, the monthly amount goes down a little bit. And when you do that consistently, it helps it go down, so that it's kind of like a snowball effect, because then next month you will have that money saved extra, so that you can put that on your mortgage as well, and then kind of like try and build it up and pay it back sooner, because not having a mortgage to pay or having a very low mortgage to pay would be amazing for us. For me, I've always had a little bit of financial anxiety. Growing up, my parents also didn't have much money, and there were money worries sometimes. So now being able to invest in just feeling a little bit more stable financially really is priceless for me. And there's nothing like physical that I could buy that is as good as the feeling that knowing that if something was to happen, we wouldn't immediately be in financial trouble. Number 3 of the things I've added to my life are concerts. So this falls in the category of experiences overall, which I think are always going to be worth it for me. Experiences over things. I love spending my money on fun things to do. And this used to be travel for us for a little while there, but over the recent years, we've kind of went away from the idea of traveling a lot and opted more for staycations for many different reasons. And one of the benefits of that is obviously that you're saving a lot of money, because travel is very expensive. So we have had the budget to go to concerts instead, and I've been having so much fun. I've always loved music, and I love many different styles of music as well. Anything from like classical to like poppy music all the way up to metal. I love metal, especially going to metal concerts. So over the recent years, we have seen Baby Metal, we've seen Hatsune Miku, we have seen the Smashing Pumpkins, which for me was like a dream come true. We saw Joe Hisaishi, which also to me was like a true dream come true, in London. We saw Spinvis, which is a Dutch band. Last year we went to see Arch Enemy, we saw Lorde. We went to a Frozen musical, which was a lot of fun. And then last week we saw Iron Maiden in Amsterdam, which was amazing, so epic. I've been wanting to see Iron Maiden live ever since I was like 15, and I first saw that Rock in Rio, a DVD of the live concert there. I was like, oh my gosh, this would be amazing. And we went last week and it was such an awesome experience. And I've seen many more bands. We have a few lined up for the second half of this year as well. And concerts are funny. As a highly sensitive person or a neurodivergent person, like they are both so much fun and like such an enriching experience for me, but also just so overstimulating and very tiring. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've actually had a cold ever since we got back from Iron Maiden, and I don't think that that's unrelated. Just how loud it is, how crowded, you're standing on your feet for hours, because I always like to stand right in the middle, like be surrounded by all of those people, because I think that concerts are such a powerful experience when you can see a band live that you have listened to for years and that you're a really big fan of, and then being surrounded by thousands of people who also came to see that band, who are just as much of a fan as you are, and everyone is screaming and singing along. And you're seeing the people, you know, with your own eyes performing it live. Like there's nothing quite like it, in my opinion. For me, it is always going to be worth it, because concerts are one of those things that I will remember, I think, forever. Number 4 is bakery bread. And this one is also a little bit about food in general. Food that is yummy and healthy and nourishing is one of my favorite things to spend my money on. And for the recent, I think like 2 years or something, we switched over from, you know, buying our bread at the supermarket to most of the time buying it from a bakery. It is about twice as expensive, so definitely a splurge. But the bread is just so good and it feels so good in my body too. It really feels like I'm full and satisfied for longer when I eat the bakery bread, and it's just one of those things that every time I eat bread now, I'm just like, oh, this is so good. And for me, that is definitely worth it. We still try to really pay attention when it comes to grocery shopping. We take into account when things are on sale, and then usually here in the Netherlands, things will be buy one, get one free. And whenever that is going on for something that we typically buy, we stock up. Like we buy a lot of it so that we can really save a lot of money there. I always take a grocery list with me. We meal plan. We don't buy things that we don't need. And if there's like a store brand version that is just as good, then I will get that. So there are many ways that I still pay attention to saving money when it comes to groceries. At the same time, there are also things that I will just buy because I love them so much and they really are worth it for me. For example, right now in the summer, I'm buying fresh strawberries, fresh blueberries. Usually the strawberries are about €3 a carton and the blueberries are about 4. I buy watermelon, all kinds of things that I just love. It's not like we buy all our produce like organic or something, because I don't think that that's something that we would be able to afford. But just being able to spend money on good food that is healthy and nourishing and tasty really is something that really enriches my life. It's something that I'm very grateful for, and it is something that for me is definitely worth investing in. Number 5 of the things I've intentionally added to my life over the recent years is generosity. So I've debated whether or not to put this on the list because it's just kind of a weird thing to talk about when you're talking about how generous you're being. I just think that generosity is something that you do. It's not something that you really talk about, but it is something that I intentionally chose to do more. And therefore, I think it deserves a place in this list because I do think that this makes me happier. What I mean by generosity is, for example, treating my friends and family when we go out to lunch every once in a while, just out of the blue, buying someone a nice present out of the blue, tipping when we go to a restaurant. Here in the Netherlands, the tip is not included. And if you tip like 10% here, it is considered like a good tip. I've also been donating money to charity when I can. So my income is very much like fluctuating. It's a little bit unpredictable as a YouTuber. So I haven't had any subscriptions where I'm like paying money every month to a certain charity because I just don't really know like how my income is going to be from month to month. But I have been making one-off donations to charities that I really care about. Or when people come over here, we like to treat them to really nice food and make sure that everyone, you know, is well taken care of. And maybe I'll make them like a nice matcha or something. It's things like this that I think are really something that really enriches my life. It's just such a nice thing to do, to be generous and to share and to, you know, put your money where you think it might matter. And it has definitely made a very big difference in my life. Number 6 is continuous learning. So when I was done with university, which was 15 years ago, which is crazy, but when I was done with university, I was done with school. I've always kind of enjoyed school up until the part that I graduated from university, and then all of a sudden it switched and I was like, I'm done. I'm never going to school again. And I still kind of feel that way. But what I did really notice was that after a while of being done with school, my brain started to get a little bit slower. I wasn't challenging my brain anymore the way that I was used to. Basically, from when you were a kid, you're always in school, you're always learning and, you know, exercising your brain muscles. And when that kind of stopped, I noticed that my brain was getting slower. I noticed that, for example, doing math in your head started to get slower. Sometimes my vocabulary kind of like decreased in a way. And I really realized that I wanted to keep learning, even if it's not in school. Like I wanted to keep challenging myself. I wanted to keep learning stuff about, you know, history or things that really require some cognitive exercise, like languages. I wanted to keep doing that because I want to keep my brain vibrant. So I love learning languages for this. I've been learning Japanese and Spanish for a while now. I love learning to cook new recipes or challenge myself with something like baking something or learn about the history of a certain country. For example, if I'm reading a book and it takes place in a country that I just don't really know that much about, I like to go online and learn more about that country. Of course, with this job, I have learned a lot over the recent years as well. This is basically all self-taught because, yeah, you just kind of have to figure it out all on your own, how to make videos, how to edit, how to present, you know, what you even want to talk about, making a website, making courses, like all of these things are in the end self-taught. It took me a while. I've been doing this for like 9 years now. But that has been a really great source of continuous learning for me. And it's not just that learning and exercising your brain is just healthy for your cognitive development. It's also that I feel like it builds confidence and resilience, because you feel like, okay, things are figure outable. I can learn what I don't yet know. And that has enriched my life in many ways that I hadn't even anticipated. I've also been learning new skills. For example, learning to make digital art on my iPad or drawing in general. I have learned about making music and playing piano and guitar, which is amazing. And not all of these things I still do. Some of them I've kind of forgotten about, but I know that as soon as I pick them up again, my brain is gonna be like, oh yeah, we did that before. And it's gonna be a little bit easier to get back into it. And here's where I wanna thank today's sponsor, which is Skillshare, because this is where I did so much of my learning over the recent years. Skillshare is an online learning platform where you can learn just basically whatever you are interested in at your own pace. I've learned so much for my work with this channel, but I also learned how to make digital art from teachers on Skillshare, how to take better care of my plants, all kinds of creative and hobby skills, digital design, copywriting. I'm sure there's something that you've been curious about, whether that is like learning to knit or mend or sew your own clothing. Maybe it's finally learning to play that guitar or piano. Maybe you've been thinking you'd like to try creative writing, or starting a garden, or watercolor painting, or starting your own online business. Really, whatever it is, you can learn it on Skillshare. Recently, I've been doing a lot of art classes on Skillshare, just using pen and paper, and I'm having so much fun with all of these classes. Now I wanted to try and brush up on my guitar skills again, so I'm excited to take Mark Barnacle's class called Learn Guitar, the Complete Beginner's Guide. So it's been a while since I played, and this is perfect for brushing up the basics and getting started with playing again. I love music, so I'm really looking forward to taking this class. What I especially love is it makes learning so easy and accessible, and you can learn from real people who are industry experts at what they're doing, and they're really passionate about their craft. And then they're sharing it with you. You can learn real skills from real people, which, especially in the age of AI now, is really valuable to me. So give Skillshare a try, and you can do that for free, because the first 500 people to click my link in the description box can get a 30-day free trial. You can try as many classes as you want, and if it's not for you, then you can always cancel within your trial and you won't be charged, but I'm pretty sure that you will love it as much as I do. Big thanks to Skillshare for supporting the channel as always, and let's get back to the video. Number 7 of the things I've added to my life in an intentional way as a minimalist is hobbies. So as a mostly introverted person who loves being at home and who has so many different passions and interests, my hobbies truly feel like such an important part of my life, and I'm so grateful to have the time for them. Whether it is reading fiction or cooking or playing video games or doing yoga or drawing and making art or making music, like there are so many things that I genuinely find such joy and fulfillment in, and that always put a smile on my face whenever I do them. I do work full time, of course, and I also, have to do chores and errands and things like that. So it's not like I have endless amounts of time for hobbies, but I can do at least one of them every day, and that feels like such an important thing. I also don't really have any expensive hobbies. So some people might have, like, I don't know, golf or motorcycles or something, but mine aren't really that expensive. For example, video games, I rarely buy a new video game. I typically just play the ones that I already have and that I love. Books, I spend about 100 to maybe 150 euros a year on, which for how much I'm reading, I think is very reasonable. And I think that's it, because my art is basically free, my yoga is free. Cooking costs ingredients, obviously, but I consider that to be like groceries. So yeah, that's kind of free too. So I don't really have any super expensive hobbies. Over the last year and a half, my partner and I have been playing Magic the Gathering together. Which is something new that I've added to my life, and I've been having so much fun. It is so much fun to play that game, just the two of us spend that intentional time together, screen-free. It's like a trading card game if you don't know what it is, and it requires a lot of like strategy and thinking and a little bit of math, but it's also like fantasy themed, so it's just super fun. And with Magic the Gathering, there are ways to make that a really expensive hobby if you want all the expensive, really good cards. But the cards that are really cheap are just as much fun. So we just use those. For me, one of the best things about minimalism and simplifying your life is having the time and energy and space for my hobbies, my interests, my passions. It's just kind of like seeing them change and doing whatever brings me fulfillment and joy. It is such an important part of my life, and I'm very grateful to have the opportunity for that. Number 8 of the things I've added to my life quite recently is just a bit more color and variety, which might not be exactly the kind of thing that you would think about when you think about minimalism and simple living and decluttering your home, which kind of is the point. For a while, when I first started getting into minimalism, I kind of leaned into how I thought minimalism was supposed to look, like the typical minimalist aesthetic of everything being very simple and everything being either white or beige or gray and everything perfectly matching. And that wasn't just because I thought that that was what I was supposed to do. I also just thought that it was super beautiful. I felt really inspired by that look, and I just thought it looked so simple and elegant and inspiring, and I went that way. But after a while I figured out, like, this really isn't me. I don't feel like myself with this kind of vibe, and I'm craving a bit more variety, a bit more color, and a bit more, you know, things not matching. I still like things to be simple and decluttered and organized, but in the things that I do choose to have around me, I want that color, I want that variety, I want things to be slightly mismatched. It makes me feel a lot happier, even in my clothes. Things like plates and servingware, I have still the things that I've had for a while with typical like light gray aesthetic, and I still think that they are beautiful too, but I've also added some colors, some flowers, some patterns. It just makes me feel a bit more alive and a bit happier. Life is not perfect, so when you do achieve that, it kind of looks a little bit flat and lifeless in my opinion. And you know, it's okay if things are a little bit chaotic and don't match and have different colors and different styles of wood and things like that, because it makes it feel more lived in, makes it feel more alive. The next one is useless but meaningful items. So when it comes to minimalism, of course, you know, they say like buy nothing you don't need. This is something that I've kind of moved away from a little bit over my recent years. And I have realized that sometimes it's just really fun to own certain things that do bring you that sense of joy whenever you look at them, even if they're not, you know, essential or necessary or items that you really need. If it's an item that I just find especially very beautiful, like for example, this little table behind me, it's made from real wood and real stone, and I just think that it looks so good. Every time I look at that table or when I touch it and feel the materials in my hands, it's just nice. And especially being someone who likes to be home a lot, I like to be surrounded by things that I think are really beautiful or that are like representations of my interests and the things that I really like video games or Studio Ghibli movies, things that I really enjoy. And even if they are kind of useless, they still feel meaningful and worth it for me. And number 10 of the things that I've intentionally added to my life ever since I started simplifying and living in a more minimal way, and this is something that I keep working on even today, is grace and gratitude. So the 2 G's. Grace in the sense of giving myself grace, accepting that I'm human, I'm not perfect, I'm going to have off days or off weeks. Life is a constant ebb and flow, and I'm trying to give myself grace enough to navigate these ebbs and flows without always expecting myself to be as productive or as inspired or as happy and cheerful as I usually am. This is something that I keep working on, and I think that minimalism and simple living has given me more so that mental space to really notice these kinds of inner thoughts and inner changes and kind of like give myself grace enough to move through it. Gratitude is a really big one for me, focusing on everything that I've got going on for me in my life, everything that is going well. All the wonderful people, you as well, are definitely part of that. And focusing on what I do have, what I can do, what is going well, rather than looking outwards and looking at what we don't have or what we could still buy or get or what other people have that's maybe better than what we have. That has made a huge impact, and I really think that minimalism is the thing that really made me see that. It's funny how when we fill our home and our life with stuff, we also do fill our mind with stuff somehow. And it's more difficult to really tune into our soul, I guess. So if you have more space, then we also have more space for, I think, inner work like this. And that's it, 10 of the things that I've intentionally added to my life ever since I started simplifying instead of just buying more stuff. I cannot wait to hear what you think in the comments. Please leave any thoughts below, and if there's anything that you have added to your life ever since you started simplifying or decluttering or just in general, I would love to hear. As always, a huge thank you for being here and for watching the video all the way until the end. I really appreciate that, and it helps to support the channel. So if you liked it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And a special thank you to my channel supporters who are helping me to keep making these videos for everyone here on YouTube. This is my full-time job, and my channel supporters help me to make that possible. So if you would like to, and if you are able to support the channel that way too, then you can become a channel supporter if you want. I will leave the links to where you can join in the description box. You can choose for yourself if you would rather do that on Patreon or here on YouTube as a YouTube member, but it's basically the same thing. You will get 2 extra videos from me every month and a huge backlog of more than 100, many more than 100 videos that I've posted over the recent years that you could catch up on if you want. So, and you can always join and cancel anytime as well. Don't forget to check out Skillshare and get your 1-month free trial, link in the description box. If it's a heat wave where you are too, then take good care, stay cool if you can, drink lots of water. And as always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you all again really soon. Bye-bye. I really hope I sound okay. I'm mostly better from my cold now, but I still sound kind of congested, I think. But yeah, it's going to be super, super hot here starting tomorrow, so I really wanted to get the filming done today.